Welcome to AlphaMotive Talks, where we don't just motivate you, we shake you awake. Everywhere you go, someone's trying to comfort you. But comfort is the enemy of growth. So today, I'm giving you 5 harsh truths, not to bring you down, but to build you up. Because once you face the truth, no one can stop you. You're not tired, you're uninspired, you're not unlucky, you're undisciplined, and no one is coming to save you. If that hit you, good. Because today, we're not here to sugarcoat life. We're here to wake you up. You wake up every morning hoping something will be different. You check your phone, scroll through social media, see everyone winning, the cars, the vacations, the success stories. And in the back of your mind, a little voice whispers, maybe my moment is coming too. So you wait, you hope, you wish. You daydream about someone discovering you, helping you, choosing you. You hope that one day life will just magically change. Let's be honest now. Deep down, you're still waiting for a rescue. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your partner, not your boss, not God in the way you imagine. A genie who grants success without effort. Not luck, not timing, not even motivation. Life has been trying to show you this every single day, but you keep ignoring the signs. You keep hoping that someone else will do the hard part, that someone else will figure it out for you. But let me ask you, when has that ever worked? The brutal truth is this: if you don't get up and change your life, no one else will. You can cry, complain, blame, or wait, but the world doesn't pause for your pain. It keeps moving. The people you're watching succeed. They stopped waiting. They realized early on that life isn't fair, and no one hands you anything worth keeping. They understood that success doesn't come to the most talented, the luckiest, or even the smartest. It comes to those who show up every single day, tired, afraid, unsure, but still show up. Are you showing up? You might think, but I have no support. Most people don't. You think, I wasn't given the opportunities. Most people weren't. You think, I'm overwhelmed, lost, and behind. Guess what? So is everyone else. But the ones who win refuse to stay there. They don't look around hoping for a miracle. They become the miracle. They build it themselves, brick by brick, pain by pain, sacrifice by sacrifice. They don't wait for motivation. They create momentum. And that's what you need to understand right now. Right now, someone out there with less talent than you, with less intelligence, less money, less time, and more problems, is doing exactly what you keep saying you want to do. The difference. They stopped waiting for someone to pull them out, and they pulled themselves out. They stopped praying for a shortcut and started walking the hard road. They didn't know what to do either, but they did something. Anything. And every step forward made the next step clearer. You have everything you need to start, but you've convinced yourself that you need more time, more confidence, more clarity. You don't. You need to stop being afraid of starting small. You need to stop letting fear masquerade as patience. Waiting is easy. Doing the work is hard. That's why most people stay stuck. Not because they're not capable, but because they're hoping someone else will change their situation for them. But it's not going to happen. Let me make this even more real for you. Imagine you're in a deep pit. It's cold, dark, and lonely. You scream for help. No one comes. You wait. Hours pass. Then days. Then years. You're still screaming, but no one's listening. That's your life right now. You're waiting in the dark for someone to climb in and carry you out. But here's what you forgot: you have legs. You can start climbing. It won't be pretty. You'll slip. You'll fall. You'll cry. But you'll rise. Slowly, painfully, but surely. And every inch you climb on your own will build something no one can take from you: self-respect, inner strength, power. Because here's another truth no one wants to tell you. The longer you wait for someone to fix your life, the weaker you become. Every day you don't act, your courage erodes. Every time you blame someone else, your power fades. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall that separates you from the life you could have had. And eventually, the life you dream of doesn't die in one day. It dies in small moments. Every time you choose comfort over effort, distraction over discipline, wishing overworking. The pain of responsibility is nothing compared to the pain of regret. You will one day look back and realize that nobody was stopping you except you. It wasn't your boss, your parents, your past, or your environment. It was the belief that someone else was going to make it easier for you. But they won't. No one's job is to save you. They have their own lives, their own struggles. And even if someone wanted to save you, they couldn't, because transformation only happens when you decide to rise. And let's not confuse something here. Help is different from saving. People can help you, guide you, support you, but they can't carry your purpose for you. They can't feel your hunger for you. They can't suffer for you, grow for you, or fight for your dreams the way you can. That's your job. That's your assignment in life, to own your pain and turn it into power. The most dangerous lie the world sells you is this: someone will come. Someone will fix it. Someone will rescue you. And the most liberating truth you can ever accept is, it's all on me. No one's coming, so I must go. That's where real freedom begins. When you stop waiting and start working. When you stop blaming and start building. When you stop talking and start showing. That's the moment your life changes. Not when conditions change, not when someone gives you permission, but when you look in the mirror and say, I got me. Let's go. It's not going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be brutal at times. You'll have to battle your own laziness, your own self-doubt, your own bad habits. You'll want to quit 1,000 times. But every time you keep going, you're sending a message to life. I'm not a victim. I'm a warrior. And that's when the universe responds. Not to your tears, but to your tenacity. Not to your wishes, but to your will. When you show life you're serious, life gets serious about showing you results. You don't need a savior. You need a strategy. You don't need a handout. You need hunger. You don't need perfect timing. You need action. Because even the smallest action toward your dreams today is stronger than the biggest excuse you'll make tomorrow. Think about the life you want. Think about who you would have to become to live it. That version of you, the stronger, disciplined, successful version, is not waiting. They're not hoping. They're not scrolling. They're doing. They're failing forward. They're getting back up. They're creating their own story, not as a victim, but as a force. You can be that person too. It starts today. Not when you feel ready. Not when the conditions are perfect. It starts the moment you stop waiting for someone else to give you what you have the power to earn. So stop telling yourself you're stuck. You're not stuck. You're just scared. And fear fades when you move. So move. One step, one action, one change. That's how momentum is built. That's how strength is built. That's how lives are rebuilt. Because no one's coming to save you. And the good news, you don't need them to. So now that you've stopped waiting, what's next? You've taken responsibility. You've chosen not to rely on anyone else to change your circumstances. But there's another enemy that creeps in quietly, one that doesn't look like danger. In fact, it looks like relief. It looks like safety. It feels like peace. But it's not. It's something far more deceptive than failure. It's the silent killer of ambition, the trap you don't even know you've fallen into until it's already done the damage. It's comfort. It doesn't yell. It whispers. It convinces you to take it easy, to slow down, to wait just a little longer. It tells you that you've done enough for today, that you deserve a break, that things aren't that bad. And you listen because it sounds reasonable. It feels good. You relax thinking you're recharging, but you're actually retreating. You believe you're maintaining, but you're slowly decaying. It doesn't come with alarms or warnings. No one's going to tell you you're wasting your time. No one's going to shake you awake. Because from the outside, you might look fine. You might even look successful. But inside, that fire is dying. Not all at once, but little by little. That drive you used to have starts shrinking. Your urgency fades. Your passion becomes dull. And then one day you wake up, look around, and realize you're surrounded by average. Not because that's what you wanted, but because that's what you settled for. It begins the moment you choose what's familiar over what's necessary. when you pick what's easy instead of what's meaningful, when you lower your standards so you don't have to stretch. That's how comfort operates. It doesn't show up as defeat. It disguises itself as balance, patience, realism. But in truth, it's robbing you, stealing from your future with every soft decision you make. Ask yourself right now, how many times have you known exactly what to do, but didn't, simply because it felt uncomfortable? How many moments have passed where the opportunity to grow was right in front of you, but the discomfort it required was just too much? That's not laziness. That's the comfort trap at work. It convinces you that staying where you are is safer than failing forward. But here's what comfort doesn't tell you. Nothing great ever came from playing it safe. Not one world changer, not one legacy, not one breakthrough was born from routine. Growth is forged in fire, and fire doesn't feel good. It burns, it stretches, it breaks. But it also builds, it rebuilds, it transforms. The same pressure that feels unbearable is the very pressure that creates the strongest version of you. The people you admire didn't get there by staying where it felt nice. They stepped into rooms they weren't qualified for. They showed up on days they didn't feel like it. They chose the hard route when the easy one was available. And because of that, they earned the results most people only dream of. You want that life. You have to be willing to do what most people won't. And that means learning to live without the constant comfort you've clung to. This isn't about punishment. It's about power. Choosing the harder path doesn't make life worse. It makes you stronger. And strong people are dangerous to excuses, dangerous to limitation, dangerous to anything trying to hold them back. They're not unafraid. They're willing. They've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. They've rewired their instincts from avoiding difficulty to seeking it. That's what separates greatness from mediocrity. Let's be honest, what has comfort ever really done for you? Has it made you proud? Has it given you fulfillment? Or has it just given you more of the same? Look around. If nothing's improving, if you feel stuck, it's not because the opportunity isn't there. It's because you've been choosing easy every time you've been called to rise. You can't have transformation and comfort at the same time. One has to go. One will always cost you the other. You can have a comfortable life, but it will cost you purpose. You can have meaningful progress, but it will cost you comfort. You have to pick. And if you pick right, you'll find something incredible: resilience. Resilience doesn't come from having things go your way. It comes from surviving what didn't. It comes from falling flat, getting rejected, failing miserably, and still refusing to stay down. It comes from taking the stairs when the elevator is right there. From doing the work no one sees. From saying yes to the grind when everyone else is calling it quits. You don't build that in comfort. You build that in the fire. You build it by doing the uncomfortable thing again and again until it becomes your new normal. You already know what needs to change. The truth is, you're not confused. You're just afraid of the discomfort that change requires. You're worried it'll be too hard, too lonely, too uncertain, and it might be. But that's exactly why it's worth doing. If you keep running from discomfort, you'll spend your life wondering what could have happened if you had just tried. Regret doesn't come from failing. It comes from not trying. It comes from looking back and realizing you never even stepped into the arena. You stayed in the stands watching other people chase what you were too afraid to go after. Don't let that be your story. This world is full of people who never fulfilled their potential. Not because they weren't good enough, but because they were too attached to convenience. They weren't willing to wake up early, to sacrifice the party, to miss the weekend hangout, to say no to entertainment and yes to growth. They lived on autopilot. They moved with the herd. And in doing so, they became invisible. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't born to live a life that feels just okay. You were created with gifts that deserve to be sharpened, not shelved. You were built for more, and deep down you know that. You've always known. That's why comfort never really satisfies you. That's why after a lazy day you don't feel proud, you feel empty. because your soul was designed for challenge. It thrives in the stretch. It awakens in the pursuit of something greater. If you're hearing this on AlphaMotive Talks, it's because part of you is tired, not physically, but spiritually. You're tired of settling, tired of playing small, tired of watching others build while you hesitate. And that's good. That's awareness. That's the first spark. But now it's on you. No one can push you out of comfort. You have to walk out on your own. And when you do, you'll discover something incredible. You were never meant to stay there in the first place. That comfort you've been chasing. It was never your home. It was just a pit stop, a momentary pause. Not the destination. The destination is discipline, grit, growth, fulfillment that comes from movement, from tension, from the uncomfortable moments that force you to level up, that force you to get serious, that force you to rise. That's where the magic is. And it's waiting for you, right outside your comfort zone. It begins when the comfort fades and reality returns. The moment when emotion is no longer enough. You're past the initial rush, past the fire of realization, and now it's just you and the work. This is where most people vanish. They confuse the initial energy for commitment. They think that burst of fire will carry them through the storm, but it never does. That fire burns out fast if there's no structure behind it. That's when a different kind of power takes over. One that doesn't care how you feel or what mood you're in. It's not emotion. It's not hype. It's not excitement. It's consistency. It's structure. It's execution. It's doing the hard thing in and again, long after the inspiration is gone. That's discipline. And it's the only thing that will ever take you all the way. Motivation gets you started. Discipline finishes the job. Everyone wants to feel driven. Everyone wants to feel inspired. But feelings don't last. They're unpredictable, fragile, and constantly shifting. One bad day, one unexpected setback, one moment is like doubt. Your drive disappears. But if you've built a foundation of habits, rituals, routines that don't rely on emotion, you still move forward. You keep showing up when every voice in your head tells you not to. That's what separates achievers from dreamers. Anyone can work when it's easy. Anyone can push when the sun is out, when things are smooth, when the vibe is perfect. That's not special. What's rare is the person who grinds in silence, who works through fatigue, who creates when no one is watching, who shows up even when nothing feels right. That's the kind of person who builds legacy. You want to rise? Then stop waiting to feel ready. Ready is a trap. Ready is the excuse you use when you want to avoid the pain of commitment. Ready doesn't matter. What matters is showing up regardless. No matter how broken, how anxious, how overwhelmed you feel. You do the work. You stay on the path. Not because you enjoy it every time, because you made a promise to yourself that can't be broken. Discipline is about that promise. It's about doing what's required, not what's preferred. It doesn't ask for comfort. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't even need progress every single day. It just needs presence. Show up. Do your part. And if you fail, try again tomorrow with the same focus, the same grit, the same internal standard. That internal standard is everything. When you have that, nothing outside of you can stop you. When your discipline is stronger than your doubt, you become unstoppable because you're not controlled by moods, opinions, or the randomness of life anymore. You've become your own anchor, solid, rooted, built from purpose. And make no mistake, it's a battle. Every day is a battle. You're not fighting others. You're not even fighting your circumstances. You're fighting the version of yourself that wants comfort over commitment. The part of you that whispers, not today. That voice doesn't go away. You just get better at ignoring it. You get better at silencing it with action, with movement, with progress. That's why so many people give up. They're chasing a feeling. They think success comes from staying excited. They wait for the perfect alignment of motivation and energy before they act. And when it doesn't come, they stay stuck. They confuse hesitation for intuition. But those who build real results don't wait. They act. They train themselves to move without permission. They don't negotiate with excuses. They execute regardless. Execution wins. Every time, AlphaMotive Talks isn't about hype. It's about transformation. And transformation isn't pretty. It's messy, brutal, raw, and it demands a level of discipline most people aren't willing to develop. You want that next level? It starts with mastering the smallest choices. Wake up when you said you would. Complete the task you promised yourself. Follow through when no one's watching. Be your own accountability partner. No shortcuts. No secret ship. If you've ever wondered why you don't finish what you start, it's not because you're incapable. It's because you've let motivation lead. And motivation is a terrible leader. It's fickle, emotional, unreliable. You need something stronger. You need rules. You need non-negotiables. You need systems that function regardless of how inspired you feel. The more decisions you base on discipline, the less chaos you'll experience. Because now, your actions aren't react-tensional. They're incalculated. They're grounded in values, not feelings. That kind of structure creates momentum. And momentum doesn't need a spark every day. It builds on itself. One win leads to another. 1 hour of focus leads to another. One workout, one page, one rep. That's the game. Discipline wins the game by stacking small efforts until they become identity. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. Every time you choose structure over sloppiness, every time you sacrifice temporary pleasure for long-term results, you're reinforcing that identity, the identity of a leader, a builder, a finisher, someone who does what needs to be done, someone who delivers. You're not just developing habits, you're developing character. And character is what will carry you through when every external motivation has vanished. When life punches you in the face, character is what gets back up. When everything falls apart, discipline is what rebuilds. Because discipline doesn't need a crowd. It doesn't need praise. It doesn't need a stage. It just needs a reason. And if you're serious, your reason will always be louder than your excuses. That reason, it can't be shallow. It can't be based on vanity or validation. It has to be deep. It has to mean something. It has to be something you feel in your chest. A purpose that echoes louder than fear. Once you connect to that, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It becomes a form of respect. Respect for your potential. Respect for your future. Respect for the standard you're building with every single decision. And here's the reality. The people you see winning aren't more blessed. They're not chosen. They're just consistent. They're boring behind the scenes. They wake up, follow their plan, and do what they said they'd do. Over and over. While others are still searching for the next boost of motivation, they've already finished the day's work. While others complain about how hard it is, they've already moved through the pain and created progress. It's not that they don't feel resistance. They feel it constantly, but they don't let it stop them. They expect it. They plan for it. They push through anyway. And that's what makes them dangerous. They don't need to be inspired to act. They've trained themselves to act no matter what. That's power. That's the kind of power that builds empires, changes, live, and rewrites stories. That power doesn't come from a quote or a motivational video. It comes from decision. Daily decision. The kind of decision you make when no one is clapping. When the world is quiet, when the results haven't shown up yet, you still decide. Because you know that every time you show up, even if it's imperfect, you're investing. And that investment always pays off, just not always immediately. You have to be patient with results, but relentless with effort. Never let a slow return discourage a consistent strategy. If you're putting in the work every single day, it's only a matter of time. That's not optimism. That's math. That's the outcome of discipline compounding over time. It doesn't always show at first, but when it does, it shows in ways motivation never could. That's why you need to protect your patterns. Your rituals, your habits. These aren't just boxes to check. They're the foundation of your freedom. They give you clarity. They eliminate noise. They keep you aligned with who you're becoming. And when life throws chose your way, those habits are what keep you grounded. So stop chasing hype. Stop living off bursts. Stop depending on how you feel to decide how you move. Feelings lie. Discipline doesn't. When the emotion fades, when the path gets hard, when the progress slows, when the noise grows louder, you keep going, you keep executing, you keep trusting the process. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because you've committed to a standard that doesn't bend for circumstances. And while you remain committed to daily execution, while you hold yourself together with unshakable internal principles, there's a reality silently tightening its grip. One that doesn't pause, doesn't rewind, doesn't ever wait. That reality. It's moving faster than you think, with or without your permission. It's not here to consult your plans or respect your indecision. It flows constantly, ticking, marching, drifting, taking from you every single moment you hesitate. That reality is time. You don't own it. It doesn't belong to you. It's not a guarantee. And the cruel part, you never know how much you have left. You wake up assuming tomorrow will be there. You scroll, sleep in, procrastinate, all under the illusion that later exists. But later is a lie. Later is the comfort story you tell yourself to avoid pressure. The truth is more brutal. Clocks don't lie. Clocks don't care. Clocks just count. Forward, always forward. Whether you're moving or not, what you're wasting isn't money. It's not energy. It's the one thing that will never return. Your minutes, you don't feel it yet, but you're spending your life in tiny, invisible transactions every time you make a choice. Each hour you spend avoiding growth, each day you waste in hesitation, you're signing away moments you can never reclaim. Every second you're not becoming who you said you would be, you're falling behind a future that won't wait around for you to catch up. You weren't meant to drift. You weren't created to delay. You weren't designed to live in loops of excuses and empty intentions. You were born into time. And everything you want must be created within it, not beyond it. And because of that, urgency must become your closest ally. Not panic, not chouse, urgency, that internal fire that reminds you, no is all I have. Because it's true. Some people never figure that out. They keep thinking they have years, so they treat life like a rehearsal. They act like this is the warm-up. They tell themselves they'll start when the mood hits, when the fear fades, when the timing's just right. But the timing is never perfect. The right day never arrives, and before they know it, the window closes. And they're left holding regret, watching others live the life they postponed. Regret is what happens when you realize too late that you were running out of moments while assuming there'd be more. You don't get to pause your story. You don't get to relive yesterday. You either use time or time uses you. There's no in between. And what about your potential? That thing inside you, the I dream, the untapped greatness. It's perishable. It has an expiration date. It won't live forever. It can't survive an entire life of stalling and neglect. At some point, it dies from lack of use. You don't want to face that version of yourself. The one who waited so long they became a shadow of what could have been. That version is silent, resentful, bitter. They live in the rear view, haunted by visions of what they could have built if they had just taken action when they still had time to do something about it. Think about it. Every day you say, not yet, someone else is saying, right now. Every moment you hesitate, someone else is creating. While you're distracted, someone's becoming. And while that shouldn't make you feel small, it should make you conscious, not competitive, aware that momentum favors those who don't take time for granted, aware that opportunity respects urgency. AlphaMotive Talks isn't for the passive. It's not for the people who sit around hoping life works out in their favor. It's for warriors, doors, builders, people who look time in the face and say, I'm not letting you slip away today. Because that's what it comes down to, making each day count, not in some pudic way, but in action, measurable, purposeful movement. Even the tiniest step beats a lifetime of waiting, and it's not about speed, it's about intention. You don't need to sprint, you just need to stop standing still. Stop treating your life like a series of trial runs. Stop letting years evaporate while you keep telling yourself you're almost ready. No one's tracking your false starts. But your soul is, and every delay adds up, not just in outcomes, but in who you become. Time doesn't just steal what you want. It reshapes who you are. You become what you tolerate. If you allow delay, delay becomes your identity. If you permit distraction, distraction becomes your routine. But when you demand urgency from yourself, when you push back against the illusion that time is unlimited, that's when you truly start living. You're not tired. You're trapped in slow decisions. You're not confused. You're afraid to act. But the only cure for that fear is movement, not answers, not clarity, action. Because even if you make mistakes, at least you're moving. And movement creates direction. You can correct course while in motion. You can't do anything while frozen in indecision. Think about the people you admire. They didn't build legacy by waiting. They didn't delay their dreams until everything made sense. They worked while confused. They rose before they were prepared. They didn't have guarantees. They had urgency. And that urgency drove them to do things others only talk about. They respected time. They used it like currency, investing it where it mattered, spending it on growth, protecting it from waste. That's how you must treat your time, like it's sacred, because it is. Every day you wake up with breath in your lungs, you've been handed a deposit of opportunity. The question is, are you spending it wisely, or are you throwing it at distractions that don't build anything? You won't remember most of your entertainment. You won't carry your scrolling hours into your legacy. You won't be proud of the weeks you spent overthinking instead of doing. But you will remember the times you committed. You will remember the seasons of your life when you said, enough waiting. I'm building now. That decision leaves an imprint. It rewrites your entire narrative. And no, you don't get to control how long you live. You don't get to guarantee tomorrow. But you do get to control today. And when you own today, when you treat it like a gift instead of a burden, you win, not someday. Now, because now is all you ever had, and now is all you ever will have. The world doesn't owe you more time. It doesn't extend deadlines for potential. It doesn't wait while you sort your emotions. But it does reward the bold. It does recognize the committed. It does honor the people who move without perfect clarity, who dare to act while others are still dreaming. That's the mindset you need. That's the tempo you need. That's the frequency AlphaMotive Talks exists to amplify. And if this message hits you hard, let it. Let it wake you up. Let it shake you. Because the deeper this truth sinks in, the more dangerous you become to stagnation. You can't sleepwalk through life once you understand time's true value. You can't let days slide by once you recognize how fast they vanish. You can't casually approach your goals once you realize that every hour matters more than you ever imagined. So don't just hear this. Let it trigger a shift. Let it force you to look at your life honestly. Are you building or are you waiting? Are you deciding or are you drifting? Are you using time or are you losing it? You still have time. For now. The question is, will you finally respect it? The clock won't wait. The world won't slow down. And life doesn't pause for those still deciding. You either rise or you disappear into the crowd. You've just heard the truth most people avoid. The truths that wake you up, push you forward, and separate the committed from the comfortable. But knowing them isn't enough. Now you act. Now you move. Now you choose the life that won't build itself. If something in your soul stirred today, hold on to it. Let that feeling drive your next move. Let it turn into discipline, action, fire. And if this message hit you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, spread it. Because someone out there is still asleep, and your voice might be the one that wakes them up. This is AlphaMotive Talks, where we don't sugarcoat reality, we sharpen minds, where excuses die and greatness begins. Subscribe, follow, lock in. We're just getting started.